Is it on me first?
Yeah. Tim Tebow is one of the most famous and extremely influential athletes of the 21st century, although he's also one of its most polarizing. Tebow accomplished many great achievements in his life. He brought great success to the Florida Gators NCAA football program and played in both the NFL and MLB's instructional leagues. He is defined by his devout Christianity and throughout the years has become a prominent figure in not only the sports world but in pop culture in general. He almost was never born though, and that's where he first began defying the odds. On slide 2, you can see Tim's parents, Pam and Bob Tebow, who met at the University of Florida. In 1985, 14 years after their marriage, the Tebows, Pam and Bob, plus their 4 children, moved to the Philippines to become Baptist missionaries. While there, pregnant Pam became ill with amoebic dysentery, and the drug she took caused a placental abruption, putting the fetus at risk. She was advised by doctors to have an abortion, but because it was against her Christian beliefs, she did not get one. Carol Fader of the Florida Times Union provides that Tim was born malnourished in the Philippine capital of Manila, but he recovered and became fully healthy. Tebow was homeschooled by his parents in Jacksonville, Florida, who instilled in him his strong Catholic beliefs. He played football for the local high school, Nice High School, as a quarterback. The Associated Press claims that he rose to national prominence as a junior at Nice because of his abilities as a dual-threat quarterback, effective at both passing and running, as well as because of his competitive spirit. He finished a game. In the middle of a game, he suffered a right leg injury, but he thought it was only a bad cramp. He finished the entire second half of the game on a broken fibula. He enjoyed even more success as a senior, leading his high school to become the state title champions, and he became a top college prospect. Following his exceptional high school career, he chose to attend his parents' alma mater, the University of Florida. On slide 3, you'll see the Tebow as a freshman at Florida, where he played as a backup to quarterback Chris Leak. He still held a major role in the offense as a rusher, though, scoring 8 touchdowns. The Florida team dominated that season en route to a BCS national championship against Ohio State, which they won in a game that Tebow threw and rushed for a touchdown. Tebow took over the starting quarterback role the next season and put up incredible stats, becoming both the first major college player to throw and rush for 20 touchdowns each. Florida didn't have an exceptional season, but Tebow's statistics and dominant performances won him the most prestigious accolade in collegiate sports, the Heisman Trophy. An article from ESPN written by the Associated Press covering the subject highlighted that Tebow was the first underclassman to ever receive the award in its 80-plus year history. His junior year started off well, but after winning the first 3 games, they lost to the unranked Ole Miss Rebels in an upset victory by 1 point. Following the game, Tebow gave a powerful speech at the press conference where he promised to the public that the Gators would work extremely hard to finish the season strong. On slide 4, there's a picture of the plaque at the University of Florida. In the middle of where the Times Picayune wrote in 2009 that in the middle of the season, after seeing players have eye black messages on their eye black, Tebow wrote his own message, Philippians 4:13. The Bible verse is, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." With Tebow's motivation, the Florida team made it back to the BCS National Championship. Before that game, Tebow changed the verse on his eye black to John 3:16, which is, "God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son so that whoever believes would not perish but have eternal life." Florida defeated the Oklahoma Sooners to win their second championship in 3 years, and the verse went viral. Tebow claims in his speech on the topic that during the game, the verse was searched over 90 million times. Information on the game was found on fbschedules.com, written by Kevin Kelly, a member of the Florida Football Writers Association of America. Tebow's senior year was quite successful, but they didn't make it to the national championship game after losing to Bama in the SEC title game. Still, Tebow played great and won the Sugar Bowl, then declared for the 2010 NFL Draft. Overall, his college career was incredible, becoming both a 2-time national championship winner and a Heisman Trophy winner as an underclassman. Pro Football Reference, a website that records statistics and data on the NFL, showed that Tebow was selected as the 25th pick of the NFL Draft, taken by the Denver Broncos in the first round. Slide 5 depicts him being drafted. Fans were excited, and he had the best-selling jersey of the entire 2010 season. He played as a backup, mostly on design quarterback runs, similar to his first year at Florida. After the Broncos were out of the playoff race, Tebow started the final 3 games and showed off his skills. During the second-to-last game of the season, he led the Broncos to a victory after being down 17-0 at halftime. He capped the comeback with a touchdown run in the final 3 minutes of the game. The following year also began dismally for the Broncos after they lost their first 4 of 5 games. Tebow became the starter again, and even though they were shut out by the Dolphins 15-0 with only 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter next week, Tebow incredibly rallied his team and scored 2 touchdowns, tying the game with only 17 seconds left. Denver won the game in overtime, and information about the game came from the play-by-play page on ESPN. Following the victory, Tebow was seen on one knee on the sideline with his fist against his forehead, praying. You can see this pose on slide 6. This image went viral, and millions around the world began Tebowing by imitating the pose. Tebow's magic continued throughout the season, and the Broncos beat the Chiefs, the Jets, the Chargers, the Vikings, and the Bears, all after coming back from deficits in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. Although they lost their final 3 games and finished 8-8, tie-breaking procedures broke a 3-way tie, and they won the division, making the playoffs. The Broncos hosted the 12-4 Steelers in the first round of the playoffs. The Broncos actually had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, but the Steelers scored twice and tied the game, forcing overtime. On the first plays of overtime, Tim Tebow threw an 80-yard touchdown pass to Demaryius Thomas to win the game. This game became memorable not only for its thrilling ending, but also because of the stats. Tebow threw for 316 yards and averaged 31.6 yards per completion. Also, the Steelers possessed the ball for 31 minutes and 6 seconds. These stats were, of course, connected to Tebow's verse back at Florida, John 3:16, and the game is often referred to as the 3:16 game. Info on the Broncos' 2011 season came from Adam Lazarus on BleacherReport.com. Unfortunately, the Broncos lost the next week and in the playoffs and signed Peyton Manning in the offseason, who was an all-time great quarterback. And Tebow was put back on the bench and then traded. He played for the Jets for a short time, but he didn't really do much. He was pushed out of the NFL because teams thought that his throwing motion was poor and that he only seemed to play well in the fourth quarter. Some believe he was blackballed out of the league for religious reasons, but for whatever it was, he hasn't played in the NFL since. In his time with the Jets, after his time on the Jets, it was reported by ESPN that he had signed a deal with ESPN to be a broadcaster for the SEC, as seen on slide 7. He holds this position to this day. In 2016, Pete Blackburn reported for Fox Sports that Tebow had expressed interest in playing baseball again, which he hadn't played since his junior year in high school. It was reported by CBS Sports that the New York Mets signed him to one of their instructional leagues after Tim held an open tryout, and he continues to play for them, although he has not been called up to the big leagues. So despite playing in the NFL for a short time, he has found success in other sports careers. Advance to the final slide. Tim Tebow had an incredible life that almost didn't begin because of his mother's illness during pregnancy. His exceptional quarterback play in both high school and the University of Florida led him to many great accomplishments. His career in the pros didn't bring him very much hardware, but he still put on very thrilling performances. His exceptional skills as an athlete and devout Christian beliefs brought him into popular culture for both his eye black verses and for his Tebowing stance. He's still a prominent figure in sports, acting as both an ESPN broadcaster and a minor league baseball player. In short, Tim Tebow was a fascinating person who put on some of the most incredible and miraculous performances in recent sports history.